All right. Hello, friends. Welcome to the first podcast of many. This was a very off the rip decision. I decided I wanted to do this yesterday and then started filming today. So, no script. I have zero plan. I just was talking with my team and I was like, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to do a podcast. And then we did it. So, today, what I figured I'd do is I'd introduce myself. And if you found me through Instagram, you probably have a little bit more of a foundation. But if not, let me go ahead and tell you who I am. And then I'll actually tell you more about my story and what got me into fitness. But I'm Paige Simmons. I've been a fitness coach for the past 9 years. And I now own a fitness coaching business called Project Strength. We help women to find sustainable solutions to their weight loss while also pursuing the biggest project they can, which is themselves, their own self-growth, a relationship with food, a relationship with their faith. We help them to just pursue the best version of themselves, and we use fitness as the vessel. I have 2 coaches that work under me now, and it has been so cool to see everything that we've achieved with stewarding our bodies well, stewarding other people's bodies well, and teaching them how to do it. But today, I figured I'd tell you how I got started in fitness because it's been a minute. It's over a decade of pursuing my own fitness goals, and it's changed a lot. So I'm going to try my best to keep this pretty clear and concise. The next few episodes will be like me chatting with my coaches because I want you to get to know them. And then we'll take like requests or Q&As and things like that because I want to have a way to connect with you guys outside of just Instagram, which is a short form of content, or TikTok. And I made YouTubes for my preps. These will go on YouTube too. You might even be watching it right now. So that's my plan. Now, I'd love to get started with where I'm at in fitness, or where I started in fitness, actually. Excuse me. I'm starting to crumble as I speak longer. But I started off in the gym in high school. Now, I started going to the gym after I finished high school sports because of an injury. I couldn't go back. And then I got dumped and I was very, very sad. That was my first ever breakup. And I basically sat around in my parents' living room all day watching every Twilight episode in order and crying. And my mom was like, we're not doing this. You're coming to the gym with me. And so she got me a trainer. And I started working out with this trainer. And I realized how good I felt working out. And I was like, man, I really like this. I could do this. I could do this for a job while I go to college. And so I asked him if I could shadow under him. And I did. I would literally follow him around for his classes and sessions and learn. And then the day I turned 18, I took my NASM test. Training certification is what that is. And I passed it. And I started working at a gym nearby as a personal trainer. I did that through my freshman and sophomore year of college. And my plan was to do that while I went to college. And then I would become a physical therapist and use kind of what I learned as a trainer and then as a physical therapist to help people heal. And I was working in the gym. I didn't fully know who I was. Granted, I don't think anyone does at the age of 18, like ever. But I remember the gym was the one place I felt very safe and I felt like I could be me. And so some backstory, also trigger warning. I forgot to say this at the beginning. Trigger warning. I'm going to discuss some addiction. I'm going to discuss some abusive relationships and eating disorders because that is all part of my story. If that makes you uncomfortable, I would tune out right now. But at that time, I was in an abusive relationship and I felt like the smallest yet the biggest version of myself because I was self-soothing by eating and gaining a lot of weight and drinking because it was my freshman year of college. And the only place I felt safe was the gym. I would go to the gym all the time, whether I was working or not. I'd be hanging out there because the guy that I was seeing wouldn't work out. So that was my way to avoid him. And I remember these women, they came in, they were beautiful. They looked amazing and they carried themselves with so much confidence, like you wouldn't mess with them. And I was like, they have something that I want. I don't know what it is, but I want what they have. And so I hired their coach. They were bodybuilders. They were bikini competitors. I hired their coach. I started a bodybuilding prep. And as soon as I started the bodybuilding prep, I realized that I could keep up with something, that I could choose myself, and that I would see progress if I chose myself and set boundaries. So I dumped that. I dumped that guy immediately. Best thing I ever did. But this first prep was the hardest thing I had ever done. I was on a strict meal plan. I was eating like no calories. I was doing cardio and working out 7 days of the week. I went from 135 pounds to like 98 pounds in less than 12 weeks. And then I competed and I felt awful, by the way. that was awful. That was not fun. I competed in 2 separate shows that were back to back, and I won both. And for the first time in my life, I was good at something. People noticed me and they told me how good I was doing at something. So I got that praise that I had never gotten. I always felt like the friend that was unnoticed, that was forgotten. And so this was that reinforcement. I was like, oh, okay, this is how you get attention. This is what my subconscious says. And so I competed, and then I said, well, now what? I'm starving and I don't have a show. The coach I had did not plan for a reverse diet for me. So I ended up with severe binge eating. I would come home every single night and I would binge from 6 p.m. until midnight or until my stomach hurt so bad. The only thing I could do was go to sleep. I would try to throw up and I couldn't. I would pop every blood vessel in my eye trying to like at least give myself some relief from how uncomfortably full I was, and it didn't work. I gained 40, 45 pounds in like 6 weeks. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror and I was afraid to be left alone in the kitchen. So I just stopped going home. And then I started to abuse different drugs and supplements and things to keep me from eating or to stunt my appetite, which it didn't work. And the fact that I was stealing them from family members really damaged my self-worth. And so I just got to this point where I had tried everything. I tried getting back on the meal plan I was on. I tried not eating. I tried cleanses. I tried all of those different things that I had taken and nothing seemed to work. But at that point, I was fed up. And so I started to reach out for help. I asked my coach, I was like, hey, like, I'm really struggling. Like, this is what happened. And his answer was to put me back in a prep. So I did it because I trusted him. I competed again in 2020, except for the world shut down in 2020. So I was shredded, like so shredded, because he put me on that same diet. And then I had someone watching to make sure. And there was no shows because COVID shut down the entire world. There was nothing happening. I had dieted for no reason, or we didn't know what reason. And at that point, I was like, I need to have a plan for after this diet. Like, for sure need to have a plan for after this diet. So I started to research, I started to learn, I started to watch a ton of YouTube videos of other bodybuilders, and I learned what a reverse diet was, and I learned how you did it. And so I started to slowly make a plan for after this next prep. And I started to learn a ton because right when the world shut down, my gym closed too. So all of my clients that I had nowhere to go. And so many of them like relied on me for like I was so much more than a trainer at that point. I was a friend to them. Low key, sometimes I was a therapist. Like, I knew everything about these people. I looked forward to it. That was the one thing they looked forward to in a day. And then the gym was closed. And I was like, my clients need me. So I actually built a gym in my garage to work out in. And then I had my clients come. And the ones that weren't comfortable coming, they were like, can you write me a program and I'll do it at home? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, I'll just make a PDF. And so I did that. And the ones that I made the PDF plan for, that I also created a nutrition plan based on what I learned, not on what I was doing, they had insane results. And I was like, oh, wait, I'm onto something here. And this is when like online coaching was first starting, like it didn't really exist. And so I just started to share my own fitness journey a lot more on Instagram, share my prep, share my workout tips and tricks so that hopefully people could stay active through this really weird time. And then next thing I knew, I had people asking me if I could they could be coached by me. And I was like, okay, cool. And I started coaching people, no idea what I was doing. I started coaching people. I was then just about to compete in like that, my first national show. So it was in the fall. They actually didn't cancel it, but there was no audience. And I was just like in the best shape of my life. I was starting to build a business, build a following, all those things. I think I got ninth at my first national show at 21 years old. And so I was like, we're getting our pro card. It's not if, it's a when. And that's when I like finally realized like bodybuilding is really my passion. Like I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to become a bodybuilding prep and become Olympian, all the things. Well, I competed for a few more years. I did switch coaches to someone that taught me macro tracking. That made a huge difference for me and for allowing me to have a successful reverse. But I still really struggled with my body image in the in between of these shows. So in off season, when I was gaining, 25, 30 pounds after, I did not feel good about myself. At the time, I was working many jobs. I was in and out of preps all the time where I didn't really like get to go out. Like I missed most of my 20s because I couldn't really go out with my friends, go out on dates with whoever I was seeing. I didn't really have that flexibility because in my brain it was pro card and that's it. And like that was the only thing I was focused on. And fast forward to about 2024, I started my last prep. And I just, at that point, I have been working out for a very long time. I've been a bodybuilder for a very long time. I've owned a business for about 4 years at this point, and I'm not happy. I moved into an apartment by myself after some falling outs, and I was very, very lonely. Like so lonely, it kind of hurt. And so I was in prep. That was probably the thing I was saying was the only thing keeping me sane. But I remember sitting on the floor of my apartment that I lived by myself, and I was like, what do I have to lose right now? Why don't I just start going to church or talking to God? Like, I have nothing to lose. And so I did. I started reading a devotional. It's called 100 Days of Believing Bigger. I started going to church by myself, and I started just reading the Bible. I had never been to church before. I hadn't really even had conversations about God before, but I was just at such a bad place. And I saw a few people in my life have their lives changed. And I saw it on social media and I was like, why not? Why not check it out? Let me tell you, I had nothing to lose, but everything to gain. It was like, that was the one thing that started to make me excited to get up in the morning was to read my Bible because it was, I always felt better. I was looking forward to going to church. I started to see how I could apply the things I was learning or reading about to my life. And it truly changed me. Like, I think back to the woman I was before and how I was just so unhappy in my body. I wanted to prove my worth through my looks, through how much money I made as a business owner, through whatever accomplishments I had had. It was crazy. And as I started to pursue my faith, I'm in a prep and I'm maybe like 6-8 weeks out. And I'm just like feeling like God saying like, this isn't for you. This isn't for you. This is hurting you. And I knew it was hurting me because I was developing some really severe hives. Every single night I had hives and I was painfully itchy. I was getting anxiety attacks. And it was because of the extreme dieting and stress on my body. But I wanted to ignore it because I wanted my pro card that bad. And so I felt like this wasn't for me, but I was like, I have to see it through. And so I finished my last prep. I think I got I think I got 6 at the national show, which was pretty good. I was really proud of it. I needed to be a little bit leaner and I need more glute muscle. But as soon as I competed, I was like, I'm done. This is not for me. And this is going to suck. But I've just felt like I don't want to pursue or I don't want to idolize my own appearance. I don't want to pursue validation from judges on a stage, and I don't want to harm my body anymore. And so I told myself I was done, and I was so scared because bodybuilding was my identity. That was who I was. It was what I eat, sleep, breathed like all day long. That's what I did. So I really struggled. You know that like, who am I question? Yeah, that one hit me hard. And the only answer I got was a child of God. So that was the answer I took and ran with. I really got even further into my faith, started going to Bible studies all the time, made friends that were Christian, and just started to talk about it all day, every day. But I did still notice that I needed something to do with my time. I hated the gym. I didn't want to work out anymore. I had been, trying to shrink myself for so long, and my health was in the actual gutter from the amount of extreme dieting that I did. My hormones were awful. My menstrual cycle was gone, all the things. And so I took about a year, so from 2024 to 2020, early 2025, to try to heal my gut. I got my cycle back. I got my cortisol down. My gut is still a problem, not nearly as bad as it used to be so the hives were a result of a gut imbalance. And so I healed a lot, but I didn't really find enjoyment back in the gym for about 8 months. Like there really wasn't I didn't have any desire to get to the gym until I was able to change my goal from I need to look like a competitor to I want to be able to be strong and have endurance. So I actually picked up what I call side quests at that time too. I lived in this little 1-bedroom apartment and down the street was a jujitsu gym. I had no idea what jujitsu was. Not a single clue, but I wanted to go check it out. So I walked in on a random day. I could not tell you why I did that. To this day, I don't know why I randomly decided to walk into it. I walk in I take a class and I have so much fun with the women there, and they're so friendly. And I was like, well, I'm coming back. And I have been going for a year and a half now. I just got my blue belt. I've competed in a jujitsu competition. It's been so fun to move my body in that way. And since I quit bodybuilding, I'm jumping around. Sorry, guys. I'm losing track of my journey. About 6 weeks post show, which I would never tell a single soul to do this, I dumped my coach that I had and I went intuitive. I stopped tracking my macros. I just started eating completely intuitively. And it was the hardest thing I had ever done. I had tracked macros for 4 years before that, but it was what I needed to do to build that confidence that I wasn't going to binge, that I wasn't going to fall completely off track and gain a ton of weight. I did gain weight, but I gained healthy weight. And I'm really honestly happy with how my physique is right now. So that was a huge thing. It taught me how to be intuitive. It taught me how to be a better coach, to teach my clients to be intuitive. And then maybe like 6 or 8 months ago, I'm trying not to say 6, 7 if you can't tell, I decided to pick up running. And it's really fun and it's really enjoyable. So I've been running. I want to do a half marathon. I've been doing jujitsu and I've been lifting. And it's been really cool to see myself as someone that can move their body, not just look good. And what's really cool too is like, I really love the physique that I have. And to see that self-growth is so huge because that's what I teach my clients. And I'm so proud that I like truly embody that. My relationship with food has done a complete 180. My relationship with my body has done a complete 180. My relationship with God is here and continually growing. It's so extremely cool to see. So I think I just covered my journey. I know there's a lot more that I can't think of right now, but there's so many layers to it at this point. Like I'd say the big starting point was like first starting in bodybuilding. Then it was overcoming binging. And then it was leaving bodybuilding and going to intuitive eating. So I'm super curious to see what the next like huge pivot in my fitness journey is. But all this time I had to learn a lot about being a business owner. Started being a business owner 6 years ago. I was so young and naive, and I've become obsessed with becoming a good leader. I'm looking forward to being a good wife and a good mom someday. And a lot of the values and things I've worked on translate so easily from being a leader and a business owner to that. And I'm super excited to see where this podcast goes. It's probably going to be a lot of fitness, a lot of faith, a lot of food freedom, a lot of just fun, like girl stuff, because I just want to chat with you guys. So feel free to let me know if you have any requests for things. And I hope that this gives you a good idea of my background. Talking about myself is always weird, but of my background, and maybe you can find some points of relation there. But yeah, hope you guys have a great rest of your week and stay tuned for next week. I'm doing with my coach, Taylor.